from the threat to the search for a real governmental response, not just in terms of interference, but in terms of interference with getting some relief to so many who are hurting from this pandemic. Two topics, one senator, Angus King of Maine. Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good to be with you, Chris.
Do you share Director Brennan's concerns that this president, if he were to lose, may not peacefully transfer power?
I do. That's not speculation. He's been asked that question several times directly, and he's essentially punted and said, well, we'll see. That's not a very reassuring response. And by the way, Chris, the peaceful transfer of power is one of the things that's distinguished this country from the rest of the world for ever since our founding. And for the president to say that, and at the same time, as you suggested, to denigrate the democratic process, say if I don't win, it's going to be rigged and there's fraud and a million fraudulent. That's a very dangerous message, because our system, Chris, is based on trust. It's based upon the trust of the citizens that the system works, that who gets the most votes wins. And for him to undermine that, and it's the same message, by the way, that the Iranians and the Russians are pushing, is really dangerous for the country.
Do you think your brothers and sisters on the right in the GOP would go along with that?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, they are certainly reluctant, as well know, as everybody knows, to criticize this president at this time. I think there may be a difference of what they talk about behind closed doors and what they say publicly. But I can't imagine any of my colleagues who aren't concerned about the issue of the peaceful transfer of power. And you know, John Brennan was talking about, and Christopher Wray, about the malign influence, the social media. There's another piece of this that was announced the other day, and that is the Russians are burrowing into our election infrastructure. They did this in 2016, and I remember saying at the time, they didn't do anything. All the intelligence was they didn't change any votes, they didn't do anything, but they were in most of the state's infrastructure. My comment was they weren't doing it for fun. And I'm worried that, and they don't have to do the whole country.
Nothing's been done about it.
Is mess up the
None of the
rolls
systems have been hardened, right?
Well, they have been hardened. We're a lot better shape. I want to be a little bit reassured.
I get different takes on that, so I want to hear yours.
The states are in a lot better shape now than they were in 2016, but they're not invulnerable. And what we learned this week is, and we learned it back in the summer, that the Russians are starting to plant malware and be ready to contribute to the chaos. Chris, these guys don't like democracy. They don't want it to work. That's their goal. They don't have to change votes. They just have to sow doubt and undermine what it is that makes this country, had been the envy of the world.
Who are you talking about, Trump or the Russians?
I'm talking about the Russians right now.
Sorry, Senator. Let me ask you something else. Straight talk with Angus. The president says Nancy Pelosi is holding up a deal. He said to Joe Biden, sometimes you got to talk to your people and just make them do it. We're told that McConnell said to the White House, forget it. I'm not screwing up the judge's confirmation. We're not going to get a deal done now. I can't get the votes right now. What's the truth?
Well, I think the latter is the truth. I mean, Mitch McConnell has been reported. I mean, I didn't hear him say it, but it's been reported that he told the White House he didn't want a deal before the election. Look, Chris, Nancy Pelosi had the House pass a COVID relief bill on May 15th. Mitch McConnell never brought it up. Not only did he not bring it up, he never entered into any kind of negotiations. He never came to Chuck Schumer or to the White House or to Nancy Pelosi and say, okay, let's sit down and make a deal. It never happened.
But isn't that bad for Trump? Doesn't Trump benefit from a deal right now?
He certainly would, and he would have benefited even more if a deal had happened a month ago. The House, by the way, passed another bill. They reduced the bill they passed in May was $3 trillion worth of stimulus. They passed another bill 2 or 3 weeks ago of $2 trillion. They brought their offer down by a third. Still no response. The president said, well, we're not going to negotiate. And then the next day said, yes, we are. But Mitch McConnell has been the man missing from the table.
But why would he do the president dirty on something that matters this much?
Well, who knows? He may think, this will not help the president, and if Joe Biden is elected, it will help Joe Biden. He doesn't want to help Joe Biden. But look, Chris, this shouldn't be about Joe Biden or the president or the election. This ought to be about the American people. There are people losing their apartments. They're losing their incomes. They're
waiting in line for food.
Health care. 10 million people have lost their health care in this pandemic. And this is all games about, who it's going to help and whether you ought to give this gift to Joe Biden or Trump. What about the poor guy that's trying to, make his payments? That's who we ought to be thinking.
She loses. Just like they always do in a culture of opposition. When opposition is rewarded in a binary system, the loser is the person who's supposed to be served. If opposition is the line for success and non-achievement, who's going to lose? The constituents. Senator Angus King, I know you're always pushing for progress and to get things done for your state and the rest of the country. You're appreciated for it. I wish you good health.
Yes, good health to you, Chris. Thank you.
Take care.